on this show, so people have complimented this show by saying we go after everybody. And since I fucking shit on Will Smith for going on stage and hitting Chris Rock, and then shit on all his defenders, I'm gonna shit on Dave Chappelle for getting attacked.
Although I will say, this is a clip from Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen clips from his new studio, which is...
I mean, playing devil's advocate, buddy. You know, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. You know, being the devil's advocate, like point, but I do want to play devil's advocate. Offer the devil's advocate opinion. Where devil's advocate would be to play devil's advocate. Let me play devil's advocate. It's a good devil's advocate. Here's purely playing devil's advocate.
I don't know if I've watched a clip of the show since he was in that crazy fucking red studio that looked like a spaceship. Do you remember that?
Did he switch studios?
Yeah, look at this one.
Oh, he went back to the old one?
Oh, is this an old studio? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't know if this was his old one or not, but yeah, it doesn't look. It's not a headache to look at.
That's the one that Tim Heidecker parodied because he had a Fuddruckers.
Yeah.
sign.
Okay. Yeah. You're right.
But real quick though.
Did you ever see that thing? It was like just like a short video of Tim Heidecker was on stage doing something, and all of a sudden you hear a heckler, and he's like, "Fuck you, man! Shut up! You suck!" And all this, and he's just like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm the other Tim." And it's like some other dude named Tim that he went to high school with or elementary school with.
Yeah.
He's just like, and it's Tim Robinson. and he's just like, "You're not fucking funny anymore, man." He's just like, "You're bad now. You used to be so funny." And he was like, "What do you mean? Do you mean like this?" And he was like referencing like his older stuff, and he was like, "Nah, man, that shit's not funny." And he's like, "Well, fuck you, dude." And he's just like, "Yeah, like that." He's just like, "That's."
I saw that.
He's just like, "That's how you used to be."
I saw that. I was trying out bad jokes on his fucking thread on fucking Twitter. I said,
yeah, he's always just been, you just be like, "Oh man, you smell like shit." And it was great. Now you suck.
I go, if I were an alien and I came back to Earth, I'd probably be really thirsty for some soda. So I would be like, "Take me to your leader."
Your old stuff is better. All right. So this is Joe on Dave.
Joe talking about the Joe Rogan taggle and somehow making it about trans people. And by the way, real quick, let's say you're a rich guy walking down the street with your tin.
Who made it about trans people?
He's going to make it about trans people? A bunch of people
I
made
mean,
it about trans people.
I know after Dave goes, "Are you trans?" So
yeah. But a lot of people made it about trans people. Fucking Jimmy Dore made it about trans people. Joe's making it about trans people.
I mean, from what I've heard, the kid's just like a SoundCloud rapper that probably just...
Oh, yeah, and he's not that bad. I mean, I don't know new rap, but it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, production quality-wise, they listened to it on one show. It wasn't, like, awful. It wasn't my cup of tea, but...
But this is how I figured this.
He put out a Chappelle diss track. Like, I'm pretty sure this is all just for hype. He might not like Dave Chappelle, but it's probably for something other than trans.
Well, his brother said he probably didn't take his meds.
Oh, that's probably
something
to do with
this is what it is, because that's a fucking homeless guy. So here's the thing, is like, you're walking down the street, you're a rich guy, you got your entourage, you got like 10 people, right? Some guy comes up to you, tackles you, then gets up and yells, "Barbra Streisand," and then runs away. Would you be like, "Get him"?
Was it said that he yelled Barbra Streisand?
No, but I mean, you get the picture. Like, he's yelling at him because he's protesting the voices that are in his head, you know?
But, well, like I said, he apparently had a Chappelle diss track that he, like...
No, it was just called Dave Chappelle.
Oh, it was just called Dave Chappelle?
Yeah, like Clint Eastwood
okay, I gotcha.
Or Bill Murray. Gorillaz has that song called Bill Murray.
So it's either a hater or a Dimebag Darrell type thing.
Listen, it could have been. That's true, and I'm against that, and I think that big guys like that, I think he should have a lot of security. He should probably have his own private security. He could afford it. But there was no fucking... But I'm pissed off because afterwards, his little fake stupid knife gun that wasn't even illegal.
It
Fucking was in his backpack.
Shaped knife.
It was a knife
That's
with
the craziest.
Yes.
Like he was found with a gun-shaped knife.
But it was in
I
his
was like, the
backpack.
only thing worse, I guess, would be a knife-shaped gun. But
So
like,
it doesn't qualify as a felony. He's misdemeanor battery. He's got 4 misdemeanor charges. He could do a year on each charge. And this motherfucker goes, well, I think, they got it wrong. Like, basically telling the DA, you should essentially change the law for me. Because this offended me that much. And that, to me, like, you want to talk about, I don't know.
yeah, like I've said,
Would Muhammad Ali act like that? No.
if that kid did like hate Dave Chappelle, I bet you it has nothing to do with trans.
No.
Like
it had
issues.
nothing to do with it.
It's something because Dave Chappelle's got a lot of opinions.
No, it had to do with fucking,
That was perpetuated by
Yeah, it had to do
voices
with,
in a sense.
Yes, exactly. It had to do with the dog telling you to fucking kill or something. I don't know.
Crazy. Well, we live in strange times, man. I mean, and after
That's
the Chris Rock thing, that was one of the things I was worried about. I was like, are people thinking they're going to start smacking comedians now? They don't like what they're saying?
Yeah.
And
But
what
that's
I'm
not what
thinking,
happened.
Or what I'm worried about is, people think that's justified. Like, people keep using the same things. I saw an article. They said his transphobic statements.
Okay, first of all, people keep using the same things, like transgender people, over and over and over and over again. Like that kind of doing the same thing.
That's
like
weird,
these guys are obsessed. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I looked this up. I didn't find any articles that said that. So I would take his word. I wouldn't take his word for anything at this point. This dude's got a new.
Have you ever heard Tim Dillon's impression of Joe Rogan?
Oh no, I've heard.
It's pretty good.
I heard Nick. God, who's the guy that does the thing for Marino 911?
Oh, Nick Swartzen.
Nick Swartzen do it, and that's fucking.
He does
funny.
a good one.
Well, no, it's not an impression, but they go like, I saw him the other night, and he was eating raw buffalo meat and mushrooms. And
No,
it's
Tim
just
Dillon
stuff
does.
like that.
Tim Dillon does like an impression of like his voice, and it's actually it's
Really?
really good. Yeah, you don't really hear anybody else do a Rogan, and that's awesome.
Yeah,
he
you
kind
think
of
that people would.
he
I know
kind
Pete
of-
Davidson can't.
Yeah. You learned that one.
You learned that the hard way.
That shit. Oh man, I don't know if Pete can do really any good impressions.
I don't know.
But Tim's kind of leans in on whenever Joe kind of talks high, like whenever he does kind of that. But it's still really good. It's funny. All right.
They're not fucking statements. They're jokes. They're not jokes that are transphobic either. They're jokes that feature trans people. They're not transphobic.
Okay, real quick.
His whole
Real quick. I do want to say this. Listen, after all the shit we give people, all these like left tubers who couldn't tell the difference between jokes and statements, I have to fucking say that they won't admit it. I don't think any of them will admit it, but they did fold. Chappelle did get them to fold because when that special came out, they all kept saying, I don't have a problem with the jokes. And then some of the trans jokes, they were like, oh, that's a pretty good one. And they weren't doing that in the last special.
Yeah.
This time they were going, no, it's the actual statements where he goes, I'm on Team Turf,
Yeah.
that we have a problem with. And I gotta say, that's growth. I mean, in their direction, that's growth.
You're right. They're not taking something he's saying
Yeah, out
from
of
a
context
place
for a
of
change.
trying to be funny.
For a fucking change.
Yeah, that is. That's like if they.
They're like, no, we're going to take this in context because we don't really have to do that. This guy's like blatantly telling you.
Well, I feel like how many times do people have to just say it's a fucking joke for people to be like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like I was probably lived here for a year before I was just like, okay, it's Nevada. Like it took maybe 12 times of getting corrected saying Nevada to just, and now I just say Nevada habitually.
Yeah.
It's just like it should be ingrained in our heads by now to just be like, oh, it's a joke. You know what I mean? It's weird that we.
Well, because they don't like jokes.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
But
by they, he means transgender.
I did.
That was
but
a
how many
joke.
fucking times can you drag this fucking topic through the? I mean, he literally got up on a special and said, "I'm not going to cover this topic anymore." And then a week later.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, here's my impression. Here's my impression of a. Here's a audio recording of a conversation of an interaction between Dave Chappelle and Joe Rogan. But you only hear Joe Rogan's end of it, okay? You want to hear it again? Let's take it backstage.
How do you get those sounds? How do you make a person make those sounds?
I guess he was impersonating a duck. It's like, hey, Dave, I'm practicing my duck impression. Let me try my duck impression on you.
Oh, Lord. Classic Stern. All right, let's see.
Bit in that last special that everybody was mad at is essentially a love letter to his friend that killed herself because she was supporting him and she got attacked.
I support that. It is a love letter. I do think he had sex with that trans woman.
There was a lot of affection in that story.
I think in the world of comedy, it is very rare to have a woman that is very inexperienced at comedy to open for a very high-level comedian.
Especially by his own admission, she bombed.
Exactly. I'm just saying, if you were like, there was this famous comic, and for some odd reason, his opener was some lady that's been doing it
open
for.
Mic.
They'd be like, "Oh, she definitely fucked him. That's definitely what happened." And that's all I'm saying.
Exactly, and it was a good story, and it was a great story.
He's kind of doing "She's a Witch," you know.
And then he,
Jill Scarborough, we know it's you.
And then he ruins it by going, "Oh, and then a bunch of trans people killed her."
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that? You're just so mad about it.
Got attacked on stage. The idea that in somehow or another is transphobic just because he's talking about a trans person is fucking crazy. Right.
Yeah, that argument's crazy.
They
That would
just
be crazy.
don't want to be talked about. That's essentially what it is. Like, they're saying it's transphobic if you're even mentioning trans people as a subject, which is bonkers.
Yeah, because it's really
that
the
would
opposite,
be
right?
bonkers if people were saying that. That would be insane. That would be crazy.
Right.
And the one time I've ever had that conversation with somebody, I thought, "Oh, this person's bonkers," because nobody says that. But anyways,
I mean, usually, joking or not, like, yeah.
I never even hear people talk about it anymore.
Me either. And if they do, I mean, like, maybe in the last month or so because of that swimmer girl. But
Yeah,
like,
I don't think I haven't been out as much as you.
Yeah, but other than that, no, because, I mean, well, there's one comic on our scene that's all he talks about. But...
Yeah, but I never run into that guy. Are you talking about who I think you're talking about?
What actually, he was at Wise Guys and didn't. He literally on stage was like, "I don't think I want to talk about trans people this week." And then it's just like, "Oh yeah, I'm fucking this comedian in the scene's fucking uncle or some shit like that." And then it was wild, but so.
See the one that talks about trans people like butterflies as butterflies?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Right? That means that they're equal.
Yeah.
If you're being included in an American
Is that pretty much
free
all of it?
conversation.
That's pretty much all of it. That's the
obviously.
stupidest thing I have ever heard.
No, it's true, and
No, that
and-
doesn't mean you're equal. They're equal. If
Yeah.
somebody makes a joke about you, I'm all for jokes and stuff like that, but that doesn't mean like it's not illegal to be transgender in Alabama until you're 19. You know? It's insane.